Oh, what's that coffee? What? Oh, you want me to have a little sip, huh? All right, I can do that. Mmm. Ooh, you're nice and hot. Mmm. Oh, oh yeah, that's good. Mmm. Ah, delicious. All right, we're into it. I don't know. I thought that bit might be funny. It probably is just weird. Anyway, it's Stewart, and we're doing some Stellaris, everybody. Let me do a quick survey. We've got some stuff going on. Oh, what? Let me make sure I hit the actual record button. I sure did. Okay. It's gonna be kind of a little goofy episode. I don't know how long we're gonna go for, but let's get to it, huh? So obviously synthoids, very dangerous. We gotta do something about that. Why am I selling? I'm selling these. I think I need to stop doing that. And oh, I see. I remember now. I had to buy alloys because we are desperately trying to like fix our alloy situation by spending alloys. Which the idea is, I really want to get a habitat that can make into like a forge habitat. But man, habitats are a little bit pricey. I'm not sure we can afford to keep spending all these consumer goods in order to buy more alloys in order to build the habitat so that we can get more alloys. It's troublesome. The other issue, let's see. We should clear these out. We can afford to do it, and I don't think I'm going to get the. I know I've been talking about potentially getting it, but I don't see myself actually doing it. Of getting not policy, the blah blah blah. It's gonna be a goofy episode, I think. I didn't get much sleep last night, but sometimes the episodes are better when I'm a little bit loopy. So we'll see how it goes. I was kind of thinking about Mastery of Nature, but at this point, I want to get going on the Ascension perks, the major, not Transcendent, blah blah blah. This one, Evolutionary Mastery, and is it up here? Engineered Evolution. I'd like to get going on those. I think that's going to be a very important boost to our empire. And Mastery of Nature, ultimately, it's helpful if you can find the room for it, but it's not nearly as strong as it used to be. I like it for the fact that you can get extra Yucca Monopoly districts, but I don't know how many Yucca Monopoly we're actually going to be able to make. Just because we don't have all that many plants. I mean, we got a couple, but yeah, our actual resource production on these worlds isn't huge. I'm mostly worried about food. Like we don't really have a planet that you look at and you go, whoa, in terms of just having a ton of food production. So I don't know. That might be changing. We'll see. Don't want to spoil too much, but we are working on some things that might make our food situation look a little bit different. Of course, I say that, and we're still getting like 100 dang food a turn. I don't know how I pulled that off. I think it's because like I started building a lot of these things and upgrading them. I mean, it just costs some moats maintain. I'm only gonna upgrade the food processing if I'm doing like this plant might become a dedicated food world eventually. But for now, I'm not gonna upgrade them because I don't really want to spend the moats on that. I want to save them for alloys. So eventually we'll have so much moats we won't know what to do with them, and it'll be okay. But right now, yeah. See, we only got like 4 coming in. I feel like we need some more moats before we really invest in using moats for food. Speaking of alloys, this should definitely help us in the future. Not immediately. I need to like sort out a forge world before that can really take off. But so how long will that 36 months, that's not too bad. We don't have much dangerous wildlife, but we have a couple, so that might be good to get.
System survey concluded.
I'm not... So, I don't really have a dedicated trade world yet, and I don't know if I will. What makes a trade world? Well, what you're looking for is a planet. I saw one over here. This one, right? Yeah, it's got some generator districts, but not many, and it doesn't really have much in the way of resources. It does have 2 crystalline caverns, which is actually pretty nice. I should colonize this place sooner rather than later. But you see, it's like a size 24 world. It's really big, not much resource production. In those... Oh, God. Ugh. It's pollen season. Man. All the trees are making their babies, and my nose is an unfortunate victim. But yeah, this would be a pretty good trade world, because you're not giving up much in terms of resources. Like, you could turn into a big, you could monopolize eventually. And I think that, yeah, this would be a good candidate for trade, because it can't make much of anything else. It does have the crystalline cavern, so that's kind of handy in a way, because you need crystals to build the advanced trade buildings. So I could see this being a decent trade world. The only issue is it's kind of far from, it would be in a totally different sector. It would be, right now we have frontier sector. We'll probably change that in the future. Like, this world, Fort Necessity, which I need to rename. It's not going to be a fort, but this would probably be the capital, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, yeah. So basically, if I build the capital here, this all could be one sector. And I kind of want to do that because right now, frontier sector, you don't have a governor. So you're missing out on a potential boost that you could have. There's no real reason not to build sectors, although there's also... The only real motivation to do it nowadays is for governors. It used to be the sectors had, like... you had to do it at a certain point in time, and they've always had kind of buggy and not great sector AI. It was very awkward, actually. Like, it used to be, I think it was in, like, before 2.2, with sectors you had to... Well, let me leave it while I'm talking. Right, I paused because I wanted to talk about what we're going to get here. I'll just go for the megaplexes. We might want them eventually. We're not really doing a trade game, so we're not desperate for clerk jobs. They're the worst kind of job you can get. Oh, boom. We got trade agreement with the, migration treaty with the Quenti, which is pretty fantastic. These cities are going to fill up. They're Gaia worlds. I wager that they have very strong migration push. Oh my goodness. I haven't looked at this in a little while. Look at all the colors we're starting to add. Oh, it's glorious. Any half-humans? Oh yeah. We got quite a lot now. Oh man, that is fantastic. I want to take a look at our... these all have open buildings and stuff. We'll fill them eventually. You don't have to like really rush to get buildings unless, well, in this case, like when they need the jobs, that would be a different story. I'll upgrade you. That'll cover the cost of, well, not the cost. That'll cover our need for buildings. Let's see, Shipping Alliance and Gammas Organism. These guys have really been beating each other up, huh? It's interesting because they don't seem to be, one isn't really like strong enough to take out the other. So yeah, it's kind of cool. They're in a little cold war that sometimes turns hot, which is an interesting situation to be in, to say the least. Still 5 jobs. Like, let's see, building something. The end in the beginning. Oh, what could this be? There is a consciousness outside time and beneath space. It is a labyrinthine tangle of desire and desperation. Oh, so Reddit. Let me continue. Our remote ancestors knew it as the loop, The worm in waiting. We have met it out there, where the void is tormented by gravity. It seems to have taken a personal interest in us. There are mathematical proofs that it loves us. But love to the worm is not like love to anything that subsists in ordinary space. With all we have learned, we think that we might be able to use the Omega alignment to open an access route, an entry point, for the worm to manifest in our home system. The worm is fond of beginnings, and this is ours. What consequences would that have? We have yet to find anyone who's prepared to commit to an answer. Immortality, perhaps? Or apocalypse? But we would certainly learn a great deal. Well, what was, will be. What will be, was. Let's please go to the actual Earth sector. Close this. Okay, Sol, where are you? I keep forgetting. I imagine Sol being like here for some reason, but no, it's kind of up in this corner. Alright, here we go. Perhaps the worm loves us, and perhaps we could love the worm. Alright, let's love the worm, everybody.
Situation
Boom.
log has been updated.
It's a... Let's see, the worm in waiting signs, generate the entry point. Let's do it. And I'm just going to sit here and see what happens. Should only take a month, right? Sip on my coffee.
The special project has concluded.
The heart of the sun. The project is complete. The accelerators are online. What was that thing? The big particle accelerator in is it CERN? Oh my god, what a brain fart I'm having. I think it was CERN, where they were worried it would open up a black hole. Utter nonsense, but it's so funny whenever we do a big science experiment, the media just has to come up with this outrageous and crazy idea for it. And oh god, I remember when CERN was firing up and they're talking about it can make a bunch of negative energy, or it might make a black hole. And yeah, a black hole that if a particle accelerator made a black hole, it would be so small it would almost instantaneously evaporate. So there's no threat that we're going to make a black hole that would it has to do with so black holes have Hawking radiation, and I'm no expert on this. I could go on and on about Hawking radiation if I actually knew something about it, but it just kind of over time, black holes by necessity will leak information. It's a mathematical equation Stephen Hawking realized, and as a result, the smaller a black hole is, the shorter its lifespan. It's almost like Half-Life in a way. It's just any given point in time, black holes would by necessity have to leak heat back out into the universe, and by doing that, they lose mass. Oh god. And as they lose mass, eventually they fizzle out. No black holes created by the collapse of a star have had enough time to evaporate, but a black hole created by just concentrating a bunch of energy in a very small point with a particle accelerator, it wouldn't last long due to Hawking radiation. Maybe I'll do a little bit of research on that. We can talk about, black holes and stuff in the future. We'll see. But where were we? The accelerators are online. The power network of a dozen cities is diverted to wake the pseudo-singularity at the heart of the alignment. Space shudders like wind-wracked cloth. Soul, for heart-stopping moment, dims and then brightens. A shadow coils in its heart. The worm is here. It unfolds like origami. Across the system, sensors shut down in abject disbelief as the incomprehensible data of its arrival sweeps through them. On the homeworld, our subjects scream and cower as they feel its attention turned up on them and upon us. It presents a wordless question, or rather, we have become aware that this question was always what it was asking us every time we encountered it. Yes, whatever it requires, we consent. Boom. The future. The worm loves us. It will always love us, and thus it always has. It winds around the hot heart of our home star. It winds around every infinitesimal loop of genetic information. It provides a shuddering series of cataclysms in the planetary crust of our home. But when our star grows cold, that cataclysm will warm us. We understand so much more. We will always be what we were going to be, wound tight in the love of the worm. What was, shall be. What was, shall be. What shall be, was. And that's the end of The Worm in Waiting. I've never gotten this achievement. Boom. Boom, baby. Achievement unlocked. What was, will be. Cool. Yeah, so the sun is very different now. Very different.
System survey
But
concluded.
check it out. Every planet in the system, we can colonize. We can colonize Luna. We can colonize Mars. They're tomb worlds, but wow, that's mysterious. Habitability 100%. Why would that be? Oh, we've changed. Yeah, that's right. We are now tomb world preference. So, and also the Earth is a tomb world. It's beautiful. The worm loves us, and we love the worm. Cool. So, all those troubles that we were having about, how, like, we don't have much planets, are we going to get, habitation, like, habitats, how are we going to fix this issue? Well, we just did. I was trying very hard not to leak what would happen, but yeah, oh my god, look at Jupiter. All of the Galilean moons, every single one. If you don't know that, a thing or two about Jupiter, like, they're called the Galilean moons because Galileo was the one to discover them. He invented the telescope, and these moons are very large, and were large enough that even Renaissance Italy could make glass good enough to see them. And that was kind of the big unraveling of Aristotelian, what would you call it, astronomy. The whole idea that, the Earth is the center of the universe, everything rotates around the Earth. Well, if Jupiter, if another planet, had moons, then this whole idea that that Earth is, it was Ptolemy, sorry, not Aristotle, the Ptolemaic model of the universe, that the Earth is in the center and everything rotates around it. Well, that can't be true anymore. That's one reason Galileo almost got excommunicated and burned at the stake. He was so close to having that happen, and he had to recant and then go into house arrest the rest of his life in order to avoid the Inquisition. But it didn't matter, because the difference between him and Giovanni Bruno, is his name Giovanni? I don't know. But there was a guy, like a century earlier than Galileo, made a similar argument that other planets could have life on it, and that, God did not make man in his image. Like what he was saying at the time was very heretical, and he didn't really have evidence to back it up. But still, Bruno was straight up burned at the stake as a heretic. Whereas a century later, suddenly we have printing, and we have the telescope. People could build the telescopes and see for themselves what Galileo was talking about, and that was the difference. That's what caused the scientific revolution and the Age of Enlightenment. So yeah, the Galilean moons, very important in astronomy. They really changed we went from the geocentric version of the universe to the heliocentric version. Ultimately, where the sun is what the Earth orbits around. Ultimately, that would take a century after Galileo. It relied on Johannes Kepler figuring out orbital mechanics. Very interesting guy. You should definitely look up Tycho Brahe and Johannes Kepler. Brahe is one of my favorite scientists. The guy was a lunatic, absolute mad lad, and it's definitely Oh man, you read about his life and all kinds of crazy stuff like that he pulled off. Well, to start with, he got into a duel, a sword duel with a fellow student over a mathematical equation. He lost the duel when his nose got cut off. And so the rest of his life, what he did, he was a, like noble, he was a pretty rich guy, so he had them make a new nose out of like pewter and copper. It was like an amalgam of different alloys. Like legend had that was silver. They actually dug up his body and tested it and figured out it was actually more copper than anything else. But yeah, he had a shiny metal nose that a blacksmith or silver or goldsmith or whatever, a jeweler whipped up for him that he would like put on his face. So imagine like this guy, he's got a metal nose. And he builds he didn't have a telescope, but he built a tower like in a very like high area, like and he just spent years and years, like every night, watching the stars and writing down exactly where he'd spot them in the sky. And because of his notes, his very, very careful notes on planetary movement, his assistant, Johannes Kepler, was able to go and use those notes to verify that the orbits of planets were elliptical and sped up the closer that they got to the sun. Now, Tycho Brahe thought it was nonsense. He told Kepler straight up, like, no, you're wrong. It's the geocentric version of the universe. The heliocentric version is sinful. Like, he was still a very religious guy, even though, you know, he was also a scientist. And so Kepler basically was made, like, Tycho Brahe sat him down and said, Kepler, when I die, you're going to get my notes and you're going to burn them. You understand me? I don't like the results I'm seeing here. They don't make sense with the the geocentric, the Earth-centric universe. I want you to burn them, Kepler. Okay, and Kepler was like, yeah, sure, boss, no problem. And instead, he used Tycho Brahe's information notes to prove that the planets orbited around the sun, the heliocentric version of the universe. I'm sure Tycho Brahe was rolling in his grave, but overall, like it was a victory for science. And the other there's so many fun stories about Tycho Brahe. We have a letter from him where the king of Denmark, I think it was a king of like Denmark or maybe Holland, was very curious to see his pet moose because the king had never seen a moose. And yes, Tycho Brahe had a pet moose. He got it from Sweden, or what I think either it was a moose or an elk. But anyway, he had a moose, and so the king like was so excited to see this moose, and Tycho Brahe had to write back to him saying, "I'm so sorry, Your Majesty. I sadly no longer have a pet moose. It was at a party. The moose got into the ale. It drank a whole barrel of it, got very drunk, and stumbled down some stairs and was killed when it fell down the stairs." That's legit a letter from Tycho Brahe. He had to explain to royalty that he no longer had a pet moose because his pet moose had gotten too drunk to walk and fallen down some stairs. Like, what? What on earth? It's the most bizarre, like, his life is just bizarre. Him and Lord Byron have the best, like, random stories. If you want to look at weird people from history, Tycho Brahe and Lord Byron are probably the top two. They just got up to so much random nonsense, and yet were, like, influential people in their fields all the same. And the way Brahe died was even kind of ridiculous. He was at a noble lady's dinner. And basically, the noble lady was all, super fancy and prim and proper. I want to make sure that her guests had a whole bunch of drink, like delicious food, and all this. And at the time, it's considered incredibly rude to excuse yourself from the host table before the host left. And so Tycho Brahe was sitting down at dinner, and he had to pee. He had to pee so freaking bad, but he wasn't going to piss himself. and he wasn't going to leave the table until the hostess did. And she was super excited. You know, it was a big dinner party, a big deal. We had all these academic scientist guys. And so she just kept serving more and more drinks and more food. And Tycho Brahe, he was definitely, he was a noble man. He wasn't about to give in and pee himself. He wouldn't be embarrassed that way, and he wasn't going to make a run to the restroom until the hostess got up, because that would be equally a faux pas. And so for hours and hours he held it in until his bladder burst, and he died of a ruptured bladder. So, like, it's such a strange way for one of the most important astronomers, observational astronomers of all time to go. But, he died kind of doing, like, living the way he lived. Like, he was very much proud of his station, of the respect he had in the community, and he cared a lot about nobility. Like, he was kind of that last tail end of the high nobility out of the late medieval period. So, that's how he ended up going. Like, it's kind of a strange way to go, but them's the breaks. So let's see. No, stop opposing this stuff. Oi. It's frustrating. You are pathetic. They're doing it because they're evangelicals. Almost always will vote like against science and stuff, so it's annoying. I wonder, seeing that these guys are pathetic, how are we doing against the Synthoids? Have we pulled ahead? Jesus, I think they are the only power besides the fallen empires that are. Well, there are a few. Okay, the next is Zorbus, but we're ahead on technology. Okay, and the Ganagians, I don't know how the Ganagians are doing this. They're peaceful traders. How do they have such a massive army? Makes no sense. This makes sense because the Kroll starting thing, they're the ones that start on a habitat start. They tend to do really well economically for a very long time. Eventually I will surpass even the fallen empires, but yeah, mid-game, some of the empires still ahead. Not for long, though, seeing what we got going on here. So let's assess. Let's look at our expansion planner and figure out what we need economically. I would love an alloy planet to start with. A size 5 world, that might as well be a habitat. Jesus. That's, wow. I might not even colonize Luna. It'd be kind of fun to have a colony on the moon, but man, all these moons, 6, yeah, they're not great, but, I mean, we'll probably still colonize them, but I'd rather colonize, like, Venus. Look at this, size 20, wow. Oh, this is that Tomb World, it's super far away. I mean, I could colonize it right now, but I'm not. Titan is interesting. A lot of minerals on there. I think the two things I'm looking at are minerals and food, but mostly minerals at this point. Ooh, Europa. Now, the only issue is it's size 6. So I don't know if it would actually be great at mineral production. You know who would be good, though? Look at Venus. That's quite a lot. I'm going to colonize Venus. Oh, look at that. Every species that was on Earth got the Tomb World preference, not just humans. So we have so many different species now. Holy crap. God, and then it's that situation where, like, one or two of them are identical, except that they prefer a different kind of planet from the other. There's gonna be so many like like dudes in our future empire. But I think let's focus on just building up the humans, because they're the ones that I prioritize in terms of genetically changing. So I will try to. Oh God. Excuse me. I'm just gonna call this one Venus. A name for it already exists. Oh, God. Sorry. I know that's kind of gross. Sorry. Where I want to make sure that I'm actually colonizing with human. It looks like it. I need to get rid of the repugnant and wasteful, but I'm just waiting till we unlock. Yeah, go for it, because that's gonna be mineral production central. Now I'm very tempted now, since I got all these like size 6 worlds that aren't like, this one's a decent sized world, but all these little moons, I'm getting more tempted again to get the Master in Nature perk, because we'll get a lot of districts out of that now. It might not be the first thing I go for though. I might focus more on other things. In a way, I'm kind of tempted to spin this off now, make it its own empire, separate from me. And we kind of need the fortifications and stuff. I'm not going to do that. It's just that, like, look at our empire sprawl. It's getting pretty bad. And I'd like to solve that sooner rather than later. What's Imagi up to? See, we're getting a lot of refugees, and all these refugees refuse to work in the mines. So, see, clearing out the mountains, adding more districts. That's good. Probably should get 1 city district. How many districts will I have? 3, 4, 5, I think? Is this? Yeah, that's 2. And then I also have a bomb crater. We should queue that. And yeah, queue these up. They won't take too long to clear. I know I'm talking about getting Master in Nature, but I have so much income from my energy credits anyway at this point. I think we're not getting Master in Nature for the discount on clearing tiles. We're getting it for the discount. I mean, for the extra districts. So I don't know. Maybe I can wait on that. How big is Imagi?
The special project
I'd like
is
to clear it,
concluded.
if I'm being honest. Okay. Good. We got a Tessargaroid. Oh god, is this something? Okay, good. Please pass. Oh, this is cool. This is kind of a rare event. So what is this one based on? This is actually a really fun science fiction book. It's almost more like it's a fast read. Like if you can read quickly, you will finish it in an afternoon. It's almost a short story than anything else. But Rendezvous with Rama by Carl Sagan. It's kind of it's so science fiction. I almost call them like high concept pieces where the actual plot is a little bit basic, but it's more about talking about a concept. So Rendezvous with Rama is what would Earth do if out of the blue a interstellar spaceship came into our space, and it's about a crew of asteroid miners that basically they're the only ones close enough to this object to reach it and board it. And so they have to go in, and the poor scientists are like, just do what you can to figure out anything about this, because the technology is far beyond what we can do. And yeah, it's about this crew basically rushing as fast as they can to catch up to this object, boarding it, and then sort of studying like the alien life forms and all that on the inside. And it's very cool. It's basically the spaceship is an O'Neill cylinder with engines strapped to it, so it's this big tube that rotates for artificial gravity. It's got a whole ecosystem on the inside, and Clark was an engineer, so he definitely he knew like the mathematics behind it, and could like come up with how they would build the ship in a particular way, and what they would fill it with, and all this. So very kind of fun, very fast read. I definitely recommend finding a copy if you're curious. But yeah, we've got an alien entity identified. A tubular alien entity has entered orbit of Grenur Prime with no warning or explanation. It appears to be moving without engines or thrusters, gliding in complete silence through the void of space, cylinders rotating ominously. Though as yet to display any signs of aggression, it refuses to acknowledge our hails. Our military advisors warn that it may pose a considerable threat to the inhabitants below and implore us to engage neutralization protocols. Our scientists, however, plead that we instead learn from this remarkable piece of technology. I'm not going to make it hostile, so we will study it.
Situation log has been updated.
And I think that's just, it's just a little engineering assignment, so go ahead. Alright, Lyceum's getting stuff. You guys are full of robots, I assume. Yeah, a ton of robots. Maybe I will do this just to get an extra job. I don't know, 1 moat per turn. How much moat do we make? Not enough. Not yet. We will eventually have enough. And I can't clear any of these yet. I need to get the dense jungle clearing for sure. Let's see here. So we got them. Okay, these guys are getting cleared out. Hopefully we'll get another building so we can help these humans. And let's see, you. Waiting on another building to show up. I think the next building has to solve the amenities issue, so we will look into that. Let's queue up a mining district and another one of these, because I think that this world is going to fill up at a decent pace now that we have now that we have Tomb World preference. We should get more Tomb World people moving on there, and that should be okay. Let's see. I did want to rename this since it's not really going to be.
System survey concluded.
I accidentally named it as if it were a fort. You know what? Let's leave it that way. There are plenty of initially they're forts, and then they get turned into something else, kind of towns. So let's go with that. At least I'm in North America, so there are a lot of cities that started out as frontier fortresses, and that town grew up around it, out in the west of the country. So, like Alamo and stuff like that. Let's see. Despite extensive research, the enigmatic catch and its origin are still shrouded in mystery. Though it is definitely not organic in nature, it's not entirely a machine either. It appears to be preoccupied mainly with the gathering, storing, and encoding of data. Its surface is covered in hundreds of thousands of minuscule scratches and dents in which we have discovered traces of a compound that is alien to our galaxy. Boom. Cool. Alright, you ran out of stuff to scan? Nope, still a little bit left. My scientists are kind of running out of things to do. I should probably bring one of them back at least. Oh, did the soul... Okay, yeah, this one must have... I think we lost some scientists to old age. So let's recruit. I guess that's better than anything. Oh, yeah, I don't care about that. Alright, Rise, I'm a bronze. We're going to probably have our first non-human leader in the near future, which will be kind of cool. Alright. Sister research. We are a multicultural society, so that's just fine in my book. Let's see. God, the galactic community is the worst feature. It keeps bugging me, too. Okay. Quit it. Tech, starbase, sure. I'll support it. We don't actually have any star bases, so that's not that big of a deal. I still want to build a habitat, so let's get one of the construction ships back to Sol. As for you, let's see, you're on Grenur. You are finished. I guess I could come up here and try to get these moats. I'll need them eventually. Let's move here. What is my situation log? By the way, have we gotten it? Oh yeah, we more than gotten it, so we're fine with that. Alright, the metalheads are getting ornery. It's sickening to see how quick the United Nations of Earth is to embrace other cultures. Have you no self-respect? Rude. Very rude. Okay. Aioli, oh, can I? No, I don't have... I don't think I have any of those techs yet. Okay. These guys are coming our way. I'm not sure I can beat them yet. Last time they were like... They'll probably be like an 8k fleet. If they go through Wegmore, I can get them. But they won't go through Wegmore. Do we roll the dice? Let's try it.
Research concluded.
If I'm wrong and they kick our butts, they kick our butts. But the hope is that I can hurt them. And decision making. I'm really kind of desperate to get this one because a couple of my plants need it. But this would be nice too. Let's just do this. I've been delaying it too long. I think it's time. I think it is time. We got some more cities coming in, but we also, like... Oh, wow. That's pretty nice. Unfortunately, the animatic catch, it won't stay forever. So, is it worth building science stuff out here? You know what? To be honest, you did have the metal boneyards. How about this? I'll get a Unity building instead of a dedicated science building. If I can actually... Let's see, this would be 8, and we could upgrade a ton, but we also have... We could upgrade this. Just a little extra Unity. How desperate are we for the Unity? We've got... Honestly, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind more Unity. We're not really doing a Unity game, but, I mean, it seems like a pretty good situation overall. Oh god, I went right past it again. So this way, like, we've got the boost to society research. This will get us even more. I'll move to the top of the list. NMAC Catch will not hang out forever. It will eventually move on. But I think it stays for a couple years, so we might as well take a little bit of advantage of the situation. And I don't mind having, like, a little bit of Unity on here. We do need more moats, but, you know, it's fine. We might even try to, like, I'm thinking, actually, the more I think about it, the more it makes sense to switch Grunner off of moats and make it a dedicated Unity and science place, just because we've got the metal boneyards. We should take advantage of that. And we can put moats. Moat Production can switch to one of these little guys out here. We could put on like We'll find one that doesn't have much in the terms of resources. Mercury might be pretty good. I don't know. It's got 10 slots. Yeah, let's go back to the plants and sectors. Nope, that's not what I want. I want an expansion planner. So let's see. I'm looking for something that doesn't have much in the way of resources, but a decent amount of space. Like, Ganymede has a decent amount of resources. Triton doesn't have much. We could maybe make Triton like a dedicated Moat Production Center. Something like that. Yeah, this is not such a bad idea. Alright, I'm actually going to do it. I'm going to colonize another one. I know this is going to kill our Empire Sprawl, but I think it's okay. Because, not only, okay, we'll switch the moats. The Moat Production, I don't want Moat Production on Grunner for one very specific reason. And if it becomes our main Moat Production area, and it's beyond a place that would be easy to defend, I'm worried that it would eventually be eaten by something. Which reminds me, we just declared war on the dang, well, we didn't declare war, but they're coming in for a raid, and Grunner is just sitting out there. That's unfortunate. Well, I'll move my navy up, and maybe it'll be tough enough to do something. We will see. For now, though, yeah, I want my moats to be as defended as possible, so let's Where is the actual human? Human. Yeah. So, let's see. This is Triton. Do we just call it Triton? Yeah, I guess so. Tirton, sure. Triton. Boom. Oh, fun fact. Ganymede. So all the moons of Jupiter are named after ladies that Jupiter was notorious for turning into animals or beautiful humans or rays of light or whatever, so that he could impregnate ladies. And in modern sensibilities, it's kind of like, well, that was very like, he was a horn dog, right? You know, why was he going out and doing all this? But the ancient Greeks actually and Romans liked that, because they thought, you know, well, the reason why Zeus / Jupiter was doing that is he wanted to give humans a fighting chance, and the only way humans would ever amount to anything is if a little bit of Jupiter was in them. So in a way, you know, Zeus, I'll call him Zeus. Zeus and Jupiter are the same guy. It's just the Romans equated their thunder god Jupiter to the sky god Zeus. But yeah, Zeus, he the whole idea was he was a Xeno Compatibility practitioner, right? He was going out and making sweet whoopee with, you know, lady Greeks, so that the Greek people would have heroes that would be born who were demigods and had some of the divine strength of Zeus. So in a way, like, the Greeks were happy with that kind of god, because he was a god who loved his people so much he was willing to love his people. You know what I mean? So, yeah, he got in trouble with his wife Hera all the time, but at the same time, he did that. He wasn't just, you know, attracted to all these ladies. He also had a purpose behind it, and that purpose was to make half human, half god babies, so that the Greeks would have heroes to defend them from monsters and calamities. So that was kind of how the Greeks saw Zeus. But at the same time, Zeus did have, being Greek, ancient Greeks, like, they believed in some traditions and stuff that nowadays are very illegal. But basically, like, the Greeks had a system where young men would kind of become the lovers of old men, and it was seen as, like, kind of how young men became introduced into society, I guess. Like I'm not going to dive too much into, like, that, but yes, Zeus did have a male lover, and the only moon around Jupiter that is named after a man is Ganymede. So there you go. Just a weird random little fact. Anyway, moving on, because I'm you know, Greek mythology is intriguing, but some of it's kind of really wild, and, you know, like, if you're curious about it, you can research the classics on your own and all that. But and wow, we have a lot of, why is this still growing? I thought this would long gone extinct, but instead we got 59 supporters. We might actually need to get, there's a starbase upgrade you can get.
A new world of opportunities
that we might need to
awaits.
invest in. Okay, I'm upgrading this because I want to try to defend our base. Well, our base. We need to defend. We need defense, so I'm going to get it. Now, Grenur being outside of here is very bad. I guarantee the Marauders are going for Grenur, which is very annoying, but I don't know. Maybe we'll pick a fight with the Angmac Catch, then that will damage them a bit. Either case, I want my fleet as ready to go as possible. Let me check Ship Designer, because I think we had an upgrade. Did it already do the upgrade, or are we still just researching it? Okay, we're 1 month away from phase disruptors, so we definitely want to do that upgrade. let's see. Plasma accelerators. Let's do it. And upgrade again. Now we're starting to get some end game tech, which is really nice to see. I think that's the last tier of plasma disruptor, which is going to make us quite strong compared to most of the fleets out there. I still think we'll be outgunned a bit by a Marauder fleet, but maybe we'll finally start to see the Synthoids take a little dip, in terms of them being way ahead of us. I should probably think about building a second fleet, but again, I just don't have the minerals to support it, the alloys to support it right now. Alright, why can't Lyceum? Oh, planetary capital. Okay, so we're working our way up to that. It'll take a little bit of time. I think we need to be 40 pop. Yeah, it's going to take a lot of bit of time, actually. Anything else we can build in the meantime? Amenities might become an issue for this place, but let's try getting more science. Get more science, and I'll build like 2 city districts. Eventually, all of these are going to be swapped to city districts, just so that we have the amenities to support a bunch of scientists. So, how are we doing on production? We're starting to dip a little bit on exotic gases, so that's something to keep in mind. Good, I really needed that. Let me look at these and think about more naval capacity would be nice. This could really speed things up, or do I get volcanic? Let's just go through all the blockers that we need, because we need to fix, like, look at this, 10. That's pretty crazy. So let's go ahead and get going on that. Good, we can clear you as well. We got plenty of amenities. It's housing that's the problem. I need to get the luxury residences upgrade. Hopefully next time it pops, we can go for that. But, yeah. I'll also, like, these mineral ones will probably get shifted late game. Food tends to be the thing that you have the hardest time with late game. And it's just because you have so many pop, and you can get minerals other ways. They're matter disintegrators that you can eventually get that you get minerals from black holes. And since we have so many black holes in our turf, I think we'll be using a lot of those and just kind of be crazy about it. So there is that.
Ship upgrades applied.
I'm just kind of looking around. Let me sip this coffee and have a little bit of a think. We'll have battleships soon too.
System survey concluded.
Oh Lord. I have a pile of papers on my desk that's supposed to be telling me how I want to spec my battleships. Let's see. So focus arc emitters. We were going for the Wondershot approach. Wondershot is a lot of fun. Usually you'll decimate like the enemy fleet very quickly with Wondershot. The issue is you need a lot. So with the Wondershot, what you're doing is you're getting rid of corvettes and you're building more battleships instead of more corvettes. So you'll have some trouble with lack of point defense. So that's something to keep in mind. Let's get Hollow Theater here. That'll cover the amenities issues. You also need one. So low amenities can get pretty bad, even on Gaia worlds. Like, we still have high stability, but we want it to be a little higher. So, yeah. As for Earth, I forget that the late these things cost a ton of minerals, and we're supposed to be saving minerals to build a UNE Monopoly, but that just hasn't happened. So, good times. This was definitely not like, forget about rushing the UNE. Okay, you can't scan anything. I'm gonna send you Grunner. That way you can assist research. Now the Grunner Prime is going to have some research going on. And that'll just boost our stuff. I wish that you could. Assist research frustrates me a little bit because there's no. It's a UI thing. They don't have any indicators that your world is on research unless you rename the ship, which I will. So this is Grenur research. I think vessel sounds better than ship. It's boring. I wish I could come up with more clever names than that, but that's what we got. It's just so that I can look at it and be like, no, this ship's supposed to be parked over this planet. I wish it had like a little star or something, just a UI indicator to show that, oh, it's assisting research. So maybe I shouldn't click on and send it somewhere to scan a thing. You know what I mean? So let's see. I was kind of hoping the Synthoids would do a little better, but wow, this is like really awkward, isn't it? Where they have like all these things going on and just little tiny bits of the Gorf. Like, is this war still going on? Let's check. They're still overwhelming. They are at peace, so we could potentially. They have a truce, so they can move through this territory, which could be an issue for us. So hopefully, hopefully they don't come at us, and hopefully we don't lose a ton of our ships. So even with the upgrade, we're still pretty bad in terms of fleet strength, which is alarming. It's not great. So like Tyrion is still upgrading and taking its sweet time. That is good to know. I'm going to do disengagement chance first because this is actually useless in the system because it's in the Pulsar. There's shield nullification 100%. So no real point to investing in a shield disruptor. None of the ships are going to have shields anyway. Now we could build like a specialized defense platform, like that just has armor on it. I don't know about. Well, you know, let's do it. Why not? Go to ship designer. So we got the right class here. What we want, shields are pointless, so just more armor instead. And what do we want to call it? The right, or do we want to call it? Maybe like Pulsar edition. I don't know. Sometimes I name it after the scientists who discovered pulsars, but I think maybe I will do that actually. Well, the reason I'm not is just because I can't remember the name. It's actually a lady, so let's do it. That was some binging with Babish on my phone. I never closed it. Got it. I've been trying to learn to cook, and he's kind of fun. Just a really fun cooking channel, you know what I mean? So, history of observation. Jocelyn Bell Burnell and Anthony Hewish were the two. So let's call it a Jocelyn Bell Burnell class, and we'll just have to remember Jocelyn Bell Burnell. She's like one of two scientists that never got recognition in their time because it was, you know, the 1950s and people were really misogynists. Yeah, so she got a little bit screwed over because of that, but the one who really got screwed over, and to this day it drives me crazy, was Rosalind Franklin, I think. Oh God, see, even the fact that even I can't remember these names showcases how bad it is. So Rosalind Franklin, yes. So Rosalind Franklin was an X-ray chromatographer, and she had taken X-ray chromatography pictures of DNA. And X-ray chromatography allows you, as a chemist, to figure out the composition of DNA and also, like, sort of how the DNA molecule was built. And so she had these plates, and she was planning to publish later in the year her findings. And these were very important findings. Like she knew it would be, important, and that it could get her like a Nobel Prize and all this stuff. Well, two young biologists or biochemists who are men decided they had heard about her X-ray chromatographs, and they went to her and said, "Okay, hey, we're curious about the structure of DNA. We're planning on writing a paper eventually on it. Why don't you give us your pictures, and we'll throw your name on the back of it. Like, we'll give you a little bit of credit." And Rosalind Franklin said, "Hell no, because you're taking all my observations and you're getting the big piece of the pie. Like, what the hell?" Like, she basically told him, "No, get the hell out of here." And what ended up happening was, so these two scientists bribed one of Rosalind Franklin's like understudies to effectively steal those chromatography plates, and then she heard about it after the paper was published, and they put her name on the paper, but without her permission. And so basically she freaked out. She's like, "No, they just straight up stole my study. And yeah, they put my name on the paper, but it's still theft. I didn't want them to have it. I was writing my own version of that paper." And the university effectively said, "Look, it'd be embarrassing if it leaked that these two scientists stole that information. Just let it go." And, she felt so much pressure because it's the 50s, and she was a woman, and so she gave in, and she said, "Okay, fine." That paper would go on to win the Nobel Prize. And because Franklin had died of breast cancer, like a month or two before the prize was supposed to go out, her name was never put on, because you can't win the Nobel Prize posthumously. So to this day, quote unquote, the discoverers of the molecule, not the discoverers of the discoverers of DNA, right? Like the people who figured out the double helix structure in all the textbooks are Watson and Crick. But it's more like Watson and Prick, right? Because these guys, they literally stole Rosalind Franklin's stuff, and were very blatant about it. There were eyewitnesses that could attest to the fact that they just like paid someone to go and grab the information off of her without permission. But history books remember Watson and Crick as the winners of the Nobel Prize for figuring out the DNA was a double helix molecule. And I hate that. I hate that Rosalind Franklin doesn't get the recognition that she deserved, and that textbooks even to this day haven't tried to do some kind of correction. I had a textbook that was published in 2010, and it didn't even say anything about Rosalind, which I think is a tragedy. I think that they need to call out scientists that cheat, and Watson and Crick cheated. So anyway, that with that in mind, let's do a solid for another notable lady who nobody fairly remembers because they're blurb in the history book. So Jocelyn Bell, she's the one who discovered pulsars. And can you imagine how exciting that must have been to be the people who first discovered pulsars? So if you don't know about pulsars, they are a kind of neutron star that, it says right here, but they emit steady pulses. So these things are like clockwork, right? They have these big geysers that go off every couple years, basically, like clockwork. And they've been doing it for millions and millions of years. They're so reliable that our atomic clocks, we synchronize to pulsars. And in the future, we'll probably use them for stellar navigation, because you know exactly where a pulsar is, and so long as you're keeping track of the number of pulses it does, you can use it to understand your time. Especially if you're going near the speed of light and relativity is an issue, you can still use pulsars to sort of synchronize your clock and keep track of where you are in the Milky Way galaxy.
System
So they're going to be very important in the future. But when they first discovered them,
is the key to the universe.
what was so exciting? Well, you have a strong radio signal that is, God, look how fast we discover these texts now. Boom. Research institution. I've been wanting this for a long time. Researchers output plus 15%. Yes. And a science director. Science directors are like super scientists, basically. Do we want this one? Oh, God. Yeah, we need it. We need this one to unlock further stuff later. So let's get it. It's a good unlock tech. We're still set. We're colonizing things. Our economy is doing much better, but I would like to stop selling consumer goods if possible. We need more. Our mineral income is starting to be a bit of a situation, so that is something I'd like to fix in the near future. Now we should get. Oh, we haven't researched it yet, but I'm going to swap out one of these buildings. I think. I'm going to swap out this crystals for the science building because we'll definitely. Okay, so we can hire these guys. That is good to know. Thanks for reminding me, by the way. Upgrade this. And then, wait, why are you going because I sent you in this direction. Okay. Latiran is almost done. I need to not forget this stuff. The reason it was so exciting when they first discovered pulsars is it's a steady signal, very powerful radio wave. And the first conclusion that they kind of jumped to. Now, to be fair, and to her credit, Jocelyn Bell said this is one thing we were thinking about, but we're scientists, and we want to make sure first. Okay, we will get our campaign thing. I don't think we need to invest in changing the election outcome. So, but the conclusion they jumped to was, well, what if this is an intentional signal sent out by an alien civilization? And it's a fairly reasonable thing to consider. Just because, we have this steady signal. It seems too steady to be a natural thing. And on top of that, hold on. My throat is getting a little parched. On top of that, it seems to be very concentrated and energy dense. So, the first kind of conclusion they came up with pulsars was, what if this is potentially an alien? And they actually called them initially LGMs. It was a clever little acronym. Let me go back to that article I just closed. Pulsar. We're going to go a few minutes over time, but we always go a few minutes over time. So they call them LGMs, right? And I'm trying to remember. Oh, this is kind of fun. Okay, so this is a direct quote from Bell Burnell. We did not really believe that we had picked up signals from another civilization, but obviously the idea had crossed our minds. We had no proof that it was an entirely natural radio emission. It's an interesting problem. If one thinks one may have detected life elsewhere in the universe, how does one announce the results responsibly? But yeah, they called it the signal an LGM1. I know it was actually short for Little Green Men. So pretty fun, right? And basically, they had to come up with, they had to figure out what it was, and eventually they realized it was a type of star. And that the pulses were almost like, Old Faithful, the famous geyser on Earth. They were getting primed in a certain way that it would steadily happen at the same time every time. So, very interesting though. Can you imagine, thinking maybe this is an alien signal, but having to just step back, take a deep breath, and just being rational about it, not wanting to jump directly to the thing that you would be excited about, because that's what scientists do. They have to take a little bit of distance, just step back and consider all the possibilities as based on the evidence that they are seeing. But it's just kind of a cool little story, I think. Anyway, I am looking at our time. We have gone a little bit over the hour. I'm gonna actually call it here, I think. And I know that's a tragedy and all that, but I think it would be. I'm trying to stick to an hour. So, anyway, appreciate you all tuning in, and we'll start next episode with deciding what other building we're going to build at this station. So, have a great day, and goodbye.